7:1 is where we're starting. Now, concerning the matters about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. And by the way, as we'll find out, the word woman often means wife if in certain contexts. We could translate this not to touch his wife because of where Paul goes with the conversation. But because of cases of sexual immorality, each man should, and here have is euphemistic for sex, each man should have his own wife. And notice the parallels. Each woman should have her own husband. The husband should give to his wife what is due to her, and likewise the wife should give to her husband what is due to him. Notice the parallels. We'll come back to that. But just for a second, realize that Paul has had them propose a super spirituality that would abstain from sex even in marriage. And he has answered back, that'd be great, except you aren't up to it. He's just talked about people who are frequenting the prostitutes. It may be that some of them are doing that because they're trying to hold out from sex in their marriages, right? That they've taken on this new asceticism that they aren't quite capable of. And Paul's view of Gentile sexual morality. Paul says, don't even try this. So have relations with your wife, and wives have relations with your husbands. And he does it in parallel ways that I've never found a similar level of equality in the bedroom relations of antiquity. That the ancient culture of Greece and Rome was generally more hierarchical, patriarchal, and men had control of their wives legally, and there were a lot of things that made it tilted. This is an extremely level playing field that is alien to the culture around Paul at the time. All right, so this continues his view of an equal marriage, for the wife doesn't have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband doesn't have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Don't deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a set time, to devote yourselves to prayer and then come together again, so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self control. Again, his estimate of their powers. This I say by way of concession, not of command. I wish that all were as I myself am, but each has a particular gift from God, one having one kind and another a different kind. So what began as a social statement and a psychological, social, relational statement now becomes we are gifted differently. I don't know how many of you are sort of familiar enough with First Corinthians to know that in chapter 12, we're going to get to a whole chapter on spiritual gifts. In fact, it's going to span 12 to 14. Here he is saying that celibacy is a gift, and the inability to be celibate is a part of what some people are dealt. And he is putting another theological framing in and says, you aren't gifted at this and you're trying to do it's only going to lead to harm, to immorality, but also possibly to other harms. So he wants marriages, in this case, he wants marriages to be equal in their in their relationship to one another relative to all of this. And he also wants it to be continuous so that temptations don't arise, right, from abstinence.